Once again, namaste and welcome to all. I'm Ravi Raman from Smart. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the third day of our first Nationalist Media Festival. I would request the Smart Smart Anthem to be placed, please.
स्मार्ट का पद वीर पद, देश का पद जीत पद, प्रश्नों की तार से स्मार्ट का पद सजा, अन्याय को ना करके न्याय का प्रचार कर, देश पर प्रहार है, हार मत प्रहार कर, आज कर, आवाज कर, तांडव सा युद्ध कर, स्मार्ट का प्रचार कर।
स्मार्ट हमरारा, स्मार्ट हमरारा, स्मार्ट हमरारा, स्मार्ट हमरारा, स्मार्ट हमरारा, स्मार्ट हमरारा।
All nationalistic media join Smart and make nation strong.
Would request to please join us for the prayer.
तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्र वस्त्रावृता या वीणा वरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेत पद्मा ब्रह्माच्युत शंकर प्रभृतिभिर्देवै सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेष जाड्या।
Now I would request Shri Muthu Raman, Director of Smart, who would be speaking on the topic Way Forward. Over to you, Muthuji.
Namaste. Welcome to the third day of Smart First Nationalist Media Festival. I am Muthu Raman, advisor Smart. So I'm here to discuss the way forward, what we have in mind for Smart over the next 12 to 18 months or so. So Smart has grown at a fairly healthy pace, and we have 100 plus media outlets as its members, with over 100 million plus in monthly reach. However, this network is not being used optimally by the members at this point of time, as well as by members and their friends of Smart, probably because we are still in early days. Almost 30% of our members just joined in the last 2 months or so. The way forward for Smart is for all of us to ensure that Smart emerges as a force to reckon with. I keep quoting this example in many of our member interactions. An Asifa murder reaches New York Times or Washington Post in no time. But a Ramlinga murder does not cross the TN borders. And this should change. And Smart will be a catalyst for this change. We have 100 plus members. I would request all the members to follow the Smart social media handles, and also all other members of Smart, and follow them in all the social media platforms. And more importantly, actively respond to various amplification requests that Smart places. As in joining hands and amplification, all are low cost, practically zero cost option, but it can and has the potential to change the public narrative. So we have fairly large plans for Smart. We are planning to add more knowledge partners. We are creating a repertoire of content, including memes, cartoons, stories, etc., that the members can utilize. We want to provide more and more common resources. So today we do provide translation services, we do provide studio facilities, etc. lot more common resources can be made available, especially to young members. We want to regularly roll out periodic training and knowledge sharing session, especially for the younger members who can benefit from the experience of more experienced members within SMART, as well as from other subject matter experts. And we'd also like to create more and more opportunities to connect between the members, such as this event is one such opportunity. And we have large plans. We'd actively request all the members to actively participate in each of SMART's activities, and more importantly, create stories. We do provide grants on a host of topics. Take time to generate those stories, because we believe that those are the stories that are not getting enough attention in the mainstream media today. And the idea of providing such grants is to ensure that such stories do get adequate coverage. So as a group, our reach more than any of those common mainstream media outlets. And instead of just outraging on social media day in and day out, we thought SMART can create a platform through which this rage can be actually translated into action. So this is the request from SMART, and please do refer more members to join, and look forward to a much more closer interaction between the members and SMART. Namaste.
Thank you, Shri Muthuraman ji. Now I would like to invite our speaker of the day, Shri Anurag Saxena ji. He's a CA from India and an MBA honors from the USA. All of us must have quite often seen him getting featured on BBC, Washington Post, and several other international publications. He has spoken at universities and at conferences across the world. He often insists that the Indic causes need to move from winning to winning and from research to results. He founded two efforts on this motto, India Pride Project and Data Reveals, and both are yielding visible and measurable results. Accompanying him, we have Shri Vijay Chadda ji, author and columnist. He is into technology, management professional, and a data guru. He is also an eminent jury of SMART. Over to you both, sir.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. So without taking much time, I would ask Anurag to do his session. So the way it is going to go is Anurag is going to speak about the main topic of the day, agenda versus facts and gaining freedom from fake news, how and the whys of it. After that, I have few questions to ask him. And once that is done, the field will be open. You can raise your questions in the chat room. We can ask the Anurag to reply to the same. Anurag, over to you.
Namaskar, everyone. I'm delighted to be here for a couple of reasons. One is lots of friends and familiar faces have come together for birthing SMART. Jhavar ji, Sandeep ji, Muthu ji are people I've known for ages, so it's almost home for me. I can also see other friends of mine, Gopal Goswami ji from Surat, Alopal from Pondicherry, Professor Ramesh, and many others that are here. So to me, this is not a presentation. This is more of a conversation where I'm here to share our small learnings with this audience and hopefully find ways in which we collaborate and move forward. Let me pull up my presentation. Just give me a second, please. I'm assuming that everyone can see this presentation. If you can't, then somebody please, Vijay ji, is this Am I visible? Yeah. By the way, boss Vijay, you are one of the oldest people I know here, so I'm going to bank on you. Without sounding too over familiar, I'm going to bank on you if anything messes up, because your tech abilities are something that I'm totally blindly going to lean on, right? So let's just get started here. Now, I am going to go to a bit of a serious conversation to 17th of December 2012. A few things happened on 17th of December 2012. A British actor in his 40s got a 15-year-old girl drunk and raped her multiple times. He later claimed sexomania, whatever that means, as an excuse, but it didn't work in court. Another gentleman called John Anthony Vega raped a woman who was 77 years old, who kept screaming that, "Hey, I'm like your grandmother," right? Later, he was convicted by a jury for aggravated assault, for attempted rape, involuntary deviate sexual intercourse, burglary, and aggravated indecent assault. Same time, another gentleman pleaded guilty, I think his name was Simon Morris, to raping and killing a 74-year-old woman. This is on the 17th of December 2002. Each of these sexual assaults or rapes were reprehensible, right? Far beyond what any person, man or woman, should be ever going through, right? However, what did you hear for the next days and months and years within India and outside India? On the same day, we unfortunately had an incident in Delhi, which was called the Nirbhaya Kand. The narrative that you saw, while other women were raped elsewhere, assaulted elsewhere, while many horrible men, demonic men, were convicted for actions, for murdering women in an act of frenzy, etc., etc., the world got to know of India as the rape capital of the world. Right? Same day, same crime, same end result, but somehow India becomes the rape capital of the world in the world's eyes. And the way the narrative, the flavor of the narrative was that only in India cows are safer than women. And I'm sure all of us have seen these disgusting false equivalents and parallels, and we've had to live with them, right? All of us have seen visuals with very apparent color schemes, with very apparent visuals and motifs, so as to paint our Indic roots in a bad light, as if that were somehow responsible for what is essentially an act of aggression, an act of, it is I would say culture agnostic crime. In fact, it is a crime that exists because there is a lack of culture. Somehow it got all of us Indian men got painted as being somehow more brutal and animalistic than the others. Now, what happens if you take this lopsided narrative that India is the rape capital of the world, and you compare and you say, no, I understand the narrative, I understand the opinion, I understand the belief, but I'd like now to bring a tathya or a factual angle to it, right? Here you see, based on official government record, right? So just so you know what we do at Data Reveals, we use data only from the United Nations, from the World Bank, from multilateral agencies, and from government agencies. So none of this is private opinion or private information, right? As reprehensible as one sexual offense is, fact is India is, relatively speaking, one of the far more safer countries we could be in. Crimes are not reported in many other parts of the world as they are in India. Crimes happen in many other parts of the world. It just so happens that there is a machinery somewhere that takes a crime happening in India and somehow amplifies it, as if, the brown and the uncouth are somehow more villainous than everyone else. Right? Another example, we had the session yesterday, which Dheeraj ji and Swati ji took, which I had attended on Bollywood and, their biases and things like that. Let's for a second look at Hollywood biases, right? Like when you read an opinion piece or a newspaper, it makes you believe that India is the rape capital of the world. There is a lot of other soft selling happening, right? When you see Lord of the Rings, you believe that, hey, New Zealand is a really beautiful, pristine place where, there are, for miles, you can see only some beautiful, pretty grass and trees and scenery, right? When you watch Aquaman, you assume that, oh my God, look at that lighthouse, it's so beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And somehow the image of clean, pristine, that somehow the part of being white and Caucasian is that you're able to create very divine looking environments around you as reflected through movies, right? That exists, right? If you were to look, sorry, I don't know how that happened. Sorry, is somebody doing something to the screen? Sorry, apologies. When you look at Clint Eastwood running, when you look at Tom Cruise running, when you look at James Bond running, please notice their shirts are perfectly ironed, no wrinkles, no dag dhabbe, no coloring, nothing, right? Their suits are perfectly creased. And I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening on the screen, guys. Perhaps the admin needs to do something about it. But coming back, look at all these Hollywood actors. They're all wearing wonderful suits, bang in the middle of a fight. There's no dirt, there's no dust, there's no keychad, no wrinkles, nothing. When a crowd of Avengers and Wakandan soldiers are running, bang in the middle of a battle, you see their clothes are spick and span. Compare that to the movie narrative about India, right? In India, we defecate in the open and sometimes fall into human feces. As you can see, these two shots are from Slumdog Millionaire. If you remember Salam Bombay, we are a nation of the poor, which is extremely filthy, right? Now, what happens when you see India being shown in this kind of a light? Right? You go on Twitter, you go on WhatsApp, as Muthuramanji was saying earlier, you go on Facebook, you go on Instagram, and you start abusing, right? You start whining, you start complaining, you start giving galis to the people on the other side, and essentially feed. By getting triggered, by getting frustrated, by getting angered, we feed the other side because that's exactly the emotion they are shooting for, right? What would an alternate response have looked like when movies decide to show India in a bad light, right? The alternate response would have looked at waste creation per capita and said, hey, listen, where the United States is at 26.5 tons, India is only at 0.19 tons, right? We would have looked at compost treatment and how India ranks better than the other countries, most other countries. We would have looked at carbon emissions, right? And we would have said that, hey, listen, India is at 1.8 compared to US and Australian averages of 16.2 and 16.9. We would have looked at meat consumption, right? People now understand that beef production is one of the largest contribution to methane emissions and to greenhouse gases. And we would have had a factual, rational conversation saying that, hey, listen, because India is one of the lowest consumers of meat, our emissions are at the category where we should be giving you gyan or wisdom, not the other way around, right? But what do we end up doing? We end up giving galis, abuses, etc., right? Now, most of you would have seen this graph. This graph shows Twitter usage and interaction between the Democrats and the Republicans, right? As you can see, what's happening is when we are giving galis, right, or when we are engaging with the other side in not very productive ways, we are feeling very happy ki haan dekho kya thappad maar diya, right? But let's see what's happening on the other side, right? The other side is in their echo chamber. We are in our echo chamber. Other than getting an Ekta Kapoor serial kind of feeling, really we are making no difference by going on WhatsApp, going on Twitter, going on Instagram, going on Facebook, and responding to one negative opinion with our negative opinion, right? These studies, and I would request you to please look it up. It's fascinating on how not just useless but counterproductive these kind of social engagements are. You are part of this conspiracy, that conspiracy. How dare this person say this? How dare that person say that? Why should Washington Post and BBC and this and that allow so and so person to write there? Other than the satisfaction of venting out, other than the satisfaction of being frustrated, other than 4, 5, 10 people liking and sharing and subscribing your tweet, actually we're making no difference by adopting that as a response mechanism, right? At some point, we need to recognize that all that is happening is we are feeling good about ourselves because humne gali de diya, right? There's way too much research. Please look it up, right? This is the so red and blue, of course, is a bi-party system. This is UK with a multi-party system. There's a lot of psychoanalysis that has happened, broken down into causes, geography, states, etc., down to very, very specific causes like, okay, in Missouri, when people talk about abortion, are they really able to change each other's opinions, right? And out, the simple result is this. When you engage emotionally on any social media platform, you are not changing the narrative on the other side. You're not changing the opinion on the other side, period. You might want it to change. You might feel that it should change. Please believe me, data shows, research shows that it is wishful thinking, right? That's something that I hope is the takeaway from the first part of this presentation. There is an overload of opinion. Unfortunately, on two sides of the ideological aisle, these opinions don't matter to these people. These opinions don't matter to these people, period. Now, what do you do in an era where one side is not willing to listen to the opinions of the other side and not even engage? Right? We said, okay, let's start replacing opinions with facts and see if it matters or if it makes a difference. Right? That's how Data Reveals was born. And I'm only going to spend a minute or two on Data Reveals to come to the crux of the presentation. Right? All we do without taking any sides, right? We are saying that, listen, we are only empirically testing the media narrative about India. That's it. If India looks good, great. If India looks terrible, that's also great. All we want to do is to say every time somebody has an opinion, somebody says, ki, as a woman, I feel unsafe in India, therefore India is unsafe, right? My road went, my vehicle went through a pothole, therefore India's infrastructure sucks, right? I was in, my driver told me that the Indian economy is in a bad shape, therefore the Indian economy is in a bad shape, right? I went to a cafe in France and I showed them my COVID certificate and they said, "Arey, ye kiska photo hai?" Therefore, India's COVID infrastructure is terrible, right? So all we are saying is, look, all these media anecdotes, narratives, opinions are there. We'll just empirically test them. Right? Data Reveals, there are three advisors here. There's Mohandas Pai, who brings in obviously a huge background in using technology for a whole bunch of use cases. So he brings in that deep background. I have a bit of background in running a couple of advocacy causes and volunteering groups. Shashank, who's fabulous. I mean, he's the hub on which Data Reveals runs, is from IIM Ahmedabad, works for a consulting firm. And that's the broad set of advisors. I'm not going to name each volunteer, but as you can see, we have volunteers across India, starting with Singapore on the east and Luxembourg on the west. And this slide is slightly dated because we've gone through inducting the next set of volunteers. This is essentially the operations team of Data Reveals. Right? We've conducted training programs enabling volunteers, and I'll show you some of those volunteers, to use data to bust these narratives and bust these myths. Two examples of who we've run programs with. Those of you who heard of Banasthali Vidyapeeth, it is the oldest women's university in India. As you can see, it was set up in 1935. At the time, the Western world, women were not allowed to study or vote or go to work. We had a women's university in India, which nobody ever talks about, right? So on one end, we've run programs with them. On the other end, we've run programs with Rashram School of Public Leadership. As you know, it's part of the Rishi Hood University, one of the most modern public policy, public leadership programs out there. So just a flavor of the wide range of old and new that we are collaborating with. Here is the set of analyst volunteers that have created enough exciting graphs for us to bust some of these fake narratives and fake news. And these are everyone that attained a distinction. While we create the kind of graphs you saw, while we create infographics, we realize that pull strategy is not enough. It's not enough for us to go and say that, hey, we'll put data out there, jisko chahiye aake dekhega. It's important to be in people's faces, especially people that don't know about you, that haven't heard about you, right? So therefore, what we also do is run two parallel efforts called Tathya and Data Talks. We've been honored and blessed that stalwarts like Smriti Irani ji, Suresh Prabhu ji, Anand Ranganathan and Amish and Syed Akbaruddin ji, and as you can see all over the place, we've been blessed that stalwarts, people with the deepest of wisdom in their specific areas, come and have conversations about what they know best about, while we bring in a data angle. Again, this is a slightly old poster. If you look at our Bollywood discussions, right? We've had Prasoon Joshi, we've had Raveena Tandon, Vivek Agnihotri, Nikhil Singh Rajput come and talk about Bollywood. If you think of, let's say, Afghanistan, we've had, the Taliban situation. We've had Sushant Sareen, Vikram Sood ji, Nikhil Gokhale, Nitin Gokhale come and have those conversations with us, right? So we've been very blessed that we are able to take the work that our analysts are doing and push it out through formats that are easy to understand, that people like to see and watch and engage with, right? So to quickly summarize what we do, we train people on how they can start spotting fake news and start proving that the news is fake, right? We obviously do the analysis and narrative testing ourselves. And one of the simple briefs that I have for my team is, give me a graph that my mother and my daughter can understand, right? And as you'll see, a lot of the work we do is overly simplistic because we want people across the broad spectrum. The change we need to make is not in an intellectual. The change we need to make is not in somebody who anyway reads a book and watches YouTube videos and does data analysis, right? The change is in somebody who otherwise would not have access to that knowledge, right? So you'll see a lot of our analysis and narrative testing is in very easy to understand infographics, right? And fourth, we do these data talks, which are hosted on YouTube and Periscope and multiple platforms, right? More important than what we do is how do we do it, right? As a part of our foundational, you could say, strategy or objective or whatever, we have zero funding, we have zero employees, and we have zero authority. And why do I say this? Why do I always have this slide? Those of you who know me in my avatar as the founder of India Pride Project, when we set up India Pride Project, we said, same thing. No, we will never have funding, we will never have employees, we will never have authority, because people use these three as excuses for inaction, right? I've talked to people who care about, let's say, regional languages and their re-emergence, about distortion in history, about, a whole bunch of causes, right? And people say, Anurag ji, I want to do it, but I can't afford it. I don't know how it will happen, right? Or I want to do it, but you see, I don't have anybody that can help me do it. Therefore, all I do about it is I talk in conferences and LitFest and I tweet about it, but what else can I do? Nobody's helping. Or the third thing they say is, I want to do it, but nobody's letting me do it, right? Both India Pride Project and Data Reveals were made with these three purposes, and I was specific about it to be able to prove to people that it's not necessary to have these three to be able to make a dent, to be able to make an impact. Right? Now, we've talked about a couple of examples about sexual crimes, about sustainability metrics, right? The big question all of you have is कि ठीक है अनुराग बातें तो बड़ी-बड़ी कर रहा है, but boss, it's a heavy, intense adversarial environment on Twitter and Facebook and this and that. Does this principle actually work? Fake news and media bias, these are huge issues, right? So Anurag coming and saying that, boss, stop abusing each other on Twitter, stop giving galis, stop putting your opinion out there, let's replace it with facts. Will this actually work? And I want you to think about this question critically when I go through the next few slides, right? Let's look at the COVID narrative that we've all been facing in India for the last, year and a half, right? We've all been seeing reports on whether India has the capacity to vaccinate its people or not. We've all been seeing doomsday scenarios saying that, hey, India is a big vaccine producer, but India can't even vaccinate its own people, right? People have gone to the extent of saying that, hey, listen, the world should worry about India, as if the pandemic originated from India, right? Somehow the oppressor was somebody else, the villain was somebody else. The victim was made to look like the villain in foreign media. Right? For the longest time, people were hoping that this narrative will somehow change. Right? Enter Manoj Bothra. Right? Manoj Bothra over time has become a dear friend. And what's very interesting is Manoj and I have never met. Manoj lives in Jakarta. He's middle-aged like I am. He's an executive, and he was part of, he volunteered to be part of one of our training programs, and then has been doing a lot of analysis. So at some point, Shashank and I were having a conversation, and Shashank said, listen, let's talk to Manoj. So we sat down with Manoj and said, this narrative is so anti-India. Everybody is talking about, India has vaccinated 2%, 20% of the population, or whatever. What do we do? So we brainstormed and said, everybody's talked about the size of the population. Nobody's talked about the operational capacity that India has built so far, which is stellar. Right? A country the size of India will look inefficient if you look at absolute numbers. So we said, okay, let's start talking about vaccination capacity. And Manoj went ahead and came out with this simple graph, which I'm guessing some of you at least have seen because it went viral and things like that, right? We said, how many days does it take countries to deliver 10 million doses, 1 crore doses? What India does in a day, right? US does in 11, UK does in 56, and New Zealand does in over 100 days. And mind you, New Zealand is touted as an ideal model in terms of dealing with COVID. Right? What happened after we put this out? We put this data out on the 4th of September. Right? By the 6th of September, the government of India had published very similar looking data as part of the official communication from India. Right? Many people on Facebook and Twitter and all of that went and started tagging media houses, newspapers, some very pliable journalists and op-ed writers who were missing this side of the narrative totally. Right? By the 13th of September, BBC had written an idea praising India's vaccination capacity. Right? And by the 18th of September, Barkha Dutt on her show published or showed the same graph and invited us to speak about it. Right? Between the 4th and the 18th, we had BBC and Barkha Dutt representing the capacity of India or what India had done positive when it came to handling the COVID pandemic. And suddenly the lens shifted, the view shifted, and people started saying, "Haan, yaar, capacity ki to koi baat hi nahi kar raha hai." Right? So going back to answering the question, does data over opinion as a response mechanism, right? Does this actually work? I would say the answer clearly is yes, right? And think about any individual argument you've had with anybody, with your spouse, with your sibling, with friends, whatever it is, right? Till it is emotional, there is no way you can win it, right? If your spouse is telling you ki, "Arey, tum to hamesha late aate ho," right? Then there's no way to win that argument, right? You better say sorry, you apologize, and find some way of making up, right? But the minute you bring some facts into it, saying no, the last 10 times we met, I was late only a couple of times. You were also late thrice. हो जाता है यार, इतनी गुस्सा क्यों हो रही हो? इतना गुस्सा क्यों हो रहे हो? Right? The conversation becomes a little easier for the other side to digest, because then it's not your ego versus their ego. Similarly, when it comes to liberals versus others, when it comes to left wing versus right wing, when it comes to, let's say, triads versus raitas and all these various labels that people seem to be birthing all the time, right? Till it is an emotional conversation, it is driven by ego, it is driven by a need for validation, for self-assurance, it is driven by a need for scoring points. No side will ever be able to win the argument, right? No side will be able to change the view of the other side till we are giving guarantees. The change happens when you disprove somebody's competence in understanding a situation by putting a fact out there instead of an opinion, right? When we focus on the solution instead of the problem. And that's been our limited experience so far in this experiment that is just about a year old, right? And mind you, let me remind you, the experiment is unfunded, with 0 employees, with 0 authority. And we can already see ourselves making a change, and huge credit to every volunteer that dedicates their evenings and weekends on this, right? Our learning, very simply, I've been called here by a bunch of friends. So clearly this is more not my wisdom. I'm not here to share my wisdom, my gyan and this and that. We anyway suffer from people that want to self-edify, which, please believe me, that's not something I'm doing here. I am just mentioning what our takeaways have been, right? That, research is important, but at some point we need to start focusing on results as well. And what does result mean? It has to be visible. It has to be measurable, right? Till it is an argument, till it is a conversation, till you're writing tweets or white papers or books or whatever, please remember that there is no real change that is happening. A result, if you go to a gym, you're not only supposed to watch, you're not supposed to look at a recipe of salad instead of eating a kachori. You're supposed to actually start eating a salad. And the result is visible when you step on a weighing scale and say, I've lost 5 kilos, right? Till then, everything else you do, all the reading up, all the YouTube watching, all the going to a nutritionist is pointless. Till there is a measurable outcome that you can, a needle that you can point at, right? Outrage is important. It is important for us to let the other side know we will not take it lying down. It absolutely has its space. But while some people focus on outrage, others have to focus on output. That's been our focus as well. Same thing with whining. As important as it is to whine, as important it is to let our frustration out. I mean, you see, as Indians, after centuries of invasions and colonizations, we are suffering from collective PTSD, right? We are suffering from collective trauma of centuries. Obviously, outrage and whining is bound to happen, right? But beyond the whining, let's actually focus on winning, right? Data reveals is a way, when it comes to media narratives, how do we move from research to results, from outrage to outputs, from whining to winning, right? As it happened in the Kurukshetra war, you see, Pandavas were fighting for the truth, but they had a very small force, right? They went up against one of the biggest armies of their time. It was a good versus evil, right? People who were on the side of good decided to get together and say, "Okay, if we have to move from outrage to output, if we have to move from whining to winning, how do we do it?" Right? You had the Dwarakas, the Magad Empire, the Chedis, the Matsyas, Yaduvanshas. Everybody came together to support the Pandavas. what I'm going to leave us with here today is each of us is doing our own thing in whatever we define as our Kurukshetra. Right? I hope there are ways in which, the Magads, the Chedis, the Matsyas, the Yadus, between us can come together and say, fine, let's find a way to use what data reveals does to change the narrative. Let us also find a way to feed into data reveals. So both ways, right? Let us find a way of feeding data reveals with factual graphs, information, etc., that helps change the narrative. Let us also go to data reveals and check what data they have when we are writing articles about it, right? We have information on crimes, on geopolitical issues, on sustainability issues, on financial issues. And every week we are adding in more and more and more categories of information, right? So my request to you, because you're a set of media organizations, every time you're writing articles about certain issues, please go and check if Data Reveals has data. Please publish it. It's a free platform. It's for common use for everybody. Who knows? You might just bring in, beyond the outrage and beyond the emotion, you might bring in a rational argument that might land with people. With that, I would love to thank you for being here, for taking out this time. India is really boss. I mean, we've suffered fake news and false narrative for generations and generations and generations. It is a battle we all need to fight. I'm hoping we can all get together and fight this battle. With that, namaskar, Dhanyosmi for being here. Vijayji, over to you for questions that you might have.
Yeah. Thanks, Anuragji, for this detailed presentation. I think we are getting a bunch of questions from the audience. Before we go into the audience questions, I have one query to you, Anuragji. How do you think this just pursuing of data can counter the fake narrative? Like there is a famous saying that even in spite of data being available to most of the people, the data that you have actually shown, the data that you have presented right now, it is as you said, it is available publicly, but most of the narratives have been built and fake news has been spread for whatever reason. So how do you counter that?
You see, here is the thing, right? I somehow am not a big fan of discussing how others are great at their job, right? The newly emerging right wing, which is finding its voice now, will say ki haan boss, the left wing has had decades and centuries of an advantage over us. They've had the money, this, that, etc., etc. So very often I find it is almost jealousy or insecurity or whatever, and of course frustration, which makes us focus on why did they say what they said? Why did so and so write so and so? We know it is wrong. How did the editor allow her to write this or him to write it? Right? My view is just ignore it, boss. They are doing their job, driven by their sense of their understanding of their dharma or whatever their version of dharma is. We don't have to change them. We don't have to change the narrative. We have to put a counter narrative out there in a way that cannot be refuted. Right? You see, let's use this example, Vijayji. Right? If you come and tell me that I'm from Bangalore and people are crazy about MTR dosa, right? I come and tell you कि I'm from UP, dosa की क्या बात कर रहे हो यार? हरिसन का समोसा मिलता है हमारे प्रयागराज में. People are crazy about that, right? There's no way for us. We'll keep arguing till the cows come home, right? You will go to your people and say, "Arey, Anurag is such a fool. He doesn't even know MTR mein, podi dosa is so amazing, right? And then Chandrahara is so amazing." I will go to my bunch of people and say, "Arey, yaar, Vijay is such a weird fellow. He's not even eaten Harisan ka samosa. and he's saying that MTR is better, etc., etc. My people will tell me I am great. Your people will tell you you're great, right? If I have to counter you or you have to counter me, the simple data you put out there saying that, boss, here is the number of footfalls, here is the amount of sales, here are the number of branches MTR has, etc., etc., which is actually a fact, right? And say, okay, based on these 3-4 parameters, MTR is more left than Hari Census. Once you say that, I become a fool if I stick to my narrative, right? Now, you will not be able to prevent every Anurag from pushing a fake narrative. The least you will do is make them look incompetent, right? You cannot change their incentive structure. You cannot change their agenda. You cannot change their upbringing because of which they may, you never know, boss. People are bipolar, people are delusional, people are dealing with all kinds of issues. You will not be able to change much of that. The least you can do is publicly let people know that at the very least, here is a lazy journalist. Because the opinion is not backed by any, it doesn't even have a nodding acquaintance with fact or with truth. And that's all that we should be doing. Beyond that, we honestly should not be worrying what the other side does.
Okay. So I have an from Alo. She is asking this question. Could you please explain if there is value in keeping RW right-wing stroke indic thought facts relevant in MSM?
Of course, there is. There is fabulous value. Okay, there is fabulous value in putting all points of view out there, especially points of view that have been suppressed in the past, that have been very deliberately suppressed in the past, right? So, for example, what Partha and Alu and Ajit Datta and all are doing with the Pondicherry Lit Fest, it is something that we should all be thankful for, because those are voices that were never given a platform in the past, right? What Vikram did at Vikram Sampathji did at the India Today Fest, that should be we should be thankful, because that's a lens on history which never existed in the past, right? There are so many, and again, there are just so many. So clearly, I don't know. I hope I'm getting the question right, Aloji. But there needs to be voices that have never had an opportunity in the past, and voices from both from both sides of the brain, right? From what are traditionally known as the left brain and the right brain, what we now know to be the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. One side understands emotion, the other side understands facts and data, and both of these need to be out there, right? In the mainstream media. Having said that, we don't have to beg for, no wing has to beg for validation or space from the other side, right? Bheek मांगने की जरूरत नहीं है. It will just happen that when powerful facts get out there, either side will have no option but to give space to the other side. Otherwise, they themselves look foolish, I would say, right? And whether it's a right wing that should find a way to push facts into left-wing media, or for that matter, left-wing that should find ways to push facts into right-wing media, both needs to happen, right? It needs to happen, and it will naturally happen. It's something the right-wing doesn't have to be desperate about. It's fine. And I'm going to extend that question as well, where people keep saying, we should we push our narrative into foreign media? No, why should we? Right? As of 2 years back, India has overtaken the British economy to become the 5th largest economy in the world. India is relevant at multiple levels, socio-culturally, from an entertainment point of view, from a culinary arts point of view, from a tangible and intangible heritage point of view, multiple levels. Why should we care what some media somewhere has to say? Right? So we have to put our point of view. If they want to stay ignorant, let them. If they want to somehow be open to ideas, thoughts, facts, then let them. But we should be very clear what our identity is, and we should also be clear it is not our job to change or improve people who might share a different sense of identity. If a part of their identity is being closed-minded, that's who they are, and let's leave it at that.
Okay. I think we have time for one more question. Anuragji, I think this is the is that after collecting and compiling the data and we show, how should we show it and how it can help in projecting the narrative?
So it's very interesting. In fact, I think we have Shashank Bhavaraju on this call, and iske liye you should really, pull Shashank in, because he's really the brains and the expert behind it. There are three things that we look for, right? One is make sure the data is authentic, where nobody can question. So you see, by questioning the sources of data, they end up questioning your motivations, right? And that's the easiest way, like every lawyer does. When you can't disprove the facts from the other side, you do some character assassination, right? So make sure that, so that your character assassination cannot happen, you're taking authentic sources of data. Second, keep it very, very simple. No need to go complex, right? I think there is a need in India for some deeply psychological reasons that we like to complicate things, right? We like to somehow use complicated words, complicated sentences, complicated numbers. No need to do all that. If you're proving or disproving something, the simplest way to paraphrase it works, right? Third, please invest time in building collaborations, in building bridges, etc., etc. Otherwise, you could have the smartest data out there. It will not mean anything to anybody, right? Honestly, doesn't matter, right? For those of you who know, I think only Muthuramanji knows this, because he has actually come home, and of course, Shashank knows this as well. I actually make some very, 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 very interesting. I love to cook personally, right? I make a great pulao. I make a great biryani. Some of the, if you've seen my tweets about how I make coffee with Kumbakonam degree coffee, and how I double boil the milk and add a spoon of cream to it before I pour it in the decoction. I know I make a great coffee, right? But me saying it will not make you believe it. Unless there is some way I get the message across to you, right? I can keep feeling I make a great coffee, doesn't matter, right? I either need to take a video, make sure all of you watch it, or I need somebody else to have come and tried my coffee, and then who says ki, actually Anurag makes a great coffee, etc., etc. So I think, summarizing it again, please use authentic sources of data. Otherwise, you will personally be vilified because your data is not authentic. Second, please use one timeline, one metric. Let it be very, very simple. Like I said, the thumb rule I use is my mother and my daughter should be able to understand an infographic. Right? The third, please invest time in collaborating. Otherwise, you can be coming up with the most interesting article, with the most interesting data analysis, this and that. As we say in Hindi, jungle mein mor nacha, kisi ne na dekha, to mor nacha ki na nacha. Or the English equivalent is, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hear it falling, did it actually fall? And it's a very important kind of question, which I see many of us not investing in. We don't invest enough in picking up the phone, talking to each other, supporting each other, etc., etc. And we might as well be stranded in a forest doing our own thing while nobody sees us dance.
Sure, Anurag. I think we still have
Vijayji,
one last question. I think this
Yeah.
is from J.K. Shanjavarji.
Yes. Yes,
I'll,
Vijay.
I'll just taking that question. Jai Kishan ji wants to ask how can smart and data reveals collaborate, and how the members of smart can benefit.
Oh, I think it's a
that's
brilliant
something-
question. And you see, trust JKG to come up with the most meaningful, जिसको बोलते हैं ना कि 100 रुपए की बात, right? कि ठीक है बॉस, अभी करना क्या है? You see, delivery is the only currency. We can keep talking, we can keep writing, blah blah blah. Unless we get things done, it's kind of pointless. Data Reveals is open source. Legally speaking, it is what we call Creative Commons, right? Where what we say is, you can use our data as far as you attribute it to us. That's all, right? From an IP perspective, it's called Creative Commons, which means it's open for everybody to source and use the way they like. As far as they say, carry information, Data Reveals. There are two ways for SMART and its member organizations to collaborate with us. The first way is, if you believe that you have access to some information which Data Reveal should be hosting, then please send it to us. We will make sure that your data is converted into a nice, pretty looking graph. It is shared on multiple platforms, etc., etc. And like you saw in the graphs I presented, you will get credit for whatever data analysis you are doing. Any member organization could be doing that. And we've had some very interesting data coming from our partners in that nature, especially around the healthcare system in India. Very recently, we've had people sending us data on the rate at which roads are being constructed in India, which is far more than any other country in the world. And it's fascinating that India is moving there. I personally I hate the nomenclature of developed world and developing world. I love the nomenclature of ascending world and descending world, right? The minute you change your viewpoint or lens, कि नहीं बस developing छोड़ दो, वो point in time story है. Let's start looking at the world as ascending and descending. Then the view changes, and also a lot of matrices, indices, etc. come out of that. So if you find information that you can use, that we could use, please send it to us. We will make it look robust, healthy, pretty, etc., and put it out there. So you can use us, from an inputs point of view. You can use us or collaborate with us from an output point of view. We keep publishing a lot of data. So if you go to our website, datareveals.org, there is an analysis section. Right? There is a contribute section and an analysis section. Contribute is how you contribute data to us. Analysis is how you use our data for your articles, for your publications, etc. Mind, who's also, who everybody knows here, is somebody that's already going to do it for their annual yearbook that they're going to make next year. Let's say, you're writing about Namami Gange, right? Come to our platform, you'll find some data on river pollutions. Let's say you're talking about abduction rates, pollution rates, and how India is made to look like it is full of criminals. Come to our platform, you will find something there, right? Let's say you're writing an article about COVID or India's healthcare delivery system. Come to our platform, you will find information, right? Where you will move your narrative, where smart members will make their narrative beyond reproach, beyond question, right? Which I think is very important. Otherwise, that's why we get pulled down. So back to Jabarji's question, two ways for us to partner and collaborate. A, whenever you find a perspective or data or information that we can host, please send it in. Our website is hello@datareveals.org. Our website is datareveals.org. And all our social media handles are DATARVLS. I repeat again, DATARVLS, right? So I would hope that I hope that everybody follows us. So all the good work, you see, look, everybody I know, and I mentioned on this call, right? There's Vijayji himself, so Vijayji's work on projecting India's new emerging power on social media. He doesn't do this for money or attention or this or that, right? Sandeep Ji's work on temple economics, Jhawar Ji's work on spreading the Indic awareness, Alo's work on giving a voice to the disenfranchised, within the Indic side, let's say. Gopal Goswami Ji's work, Professor Ramesh's work, everybody, including all volunteers of Data Reveals. Nobody is doing it for money, and nobody is doing it, or somehow my life will improve, etc., etc. Right? We are doing it because it needs to be done, right? That's why we are doing it, right? And let's not remember, India is a country jahan when you're walking on a road, if you see a piece of kachra lying around, 99 people will walk across that piece of kachra. One person will stop, pick it up, and throw it in the dustbin, right? Everybody who's on this call is that one person today, right? And it just makes me feel so good, ki boss, we are that one person who will stop and clean that corner on the road which is dirty, right? Not just with Data Reveals, but please support each other as much as you can. Please collaborate with each other as much as you can. Specifically, as far as Data Reveals is concerned, please feed us data, information which we can host. Please take data from us which you can host. Share our tweets, follow our tweets, quote us, etc., etc. And that's all we need, because most of our volunteers are early 20-year-olds who are doing something because they feel very strongly for the country. And that's all we need, nothing more than that.
Thank you, Anurag ji. Thank you, Vijay ji, for such an informative session and a Q&A and a wonderful presentation. Now, we will have a short commercial.
Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations.
What you staring at? Is it really me? Feeling like a star. Am I taking it too far? Taking it too far while I'm feeling like a star. Feeling like a star.
Always a star with stylish backpacks from Skybags. Built to last straps, 12 months international warranty and rain cover. Skybags.
I'm changing my mind.
Change to Tokyo.
Kinda like your kind.
Paris.
You have me at hey, 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 hey.
Hi.
Be back in May.
Cape Town.
You have me at hey, 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 hey.
Your passport, please.
उसे छोड़ो. तुम कहाँ से हो? Chase the world with stylish bags from Skybags.
मेरी बुक्स कहाँ हैं?
अरे मैंने सब लेबल किया हुआ है, वहां पे हैं। कुछ भी नहीं हुआ। बढ़िया चॉइस है यार तुम्हारी।
काफी स्ट्रॉन्ग है। लारा बाय बोरोसिल।
So those were commercials from our sponsors. Now I would like to welcome Shri Govind Madhav ji to introduce the management team, jury and advisors of SMART.
Namaste and welcome to the last session of the first SMART Media Fest. I am Govinda Madhav. I will introduce you to the SMART team and about this session. For the last 3 days, we all have been listening to the views of eminent speakers from different spectrum on topics of great importance to our Desh and Dharma. Before we begin the much awaited session on Smart Awards, we would like to thank all those who have been working behind the scenes for establishing Smart and strengthening Nestlist voices in media through their valuable contributions. First of all, we would like to thank Shri Jai Kishan Ji Jhawar for conceptualizing and forming Samachar Manata Association for Research and Training. He has a busy schedule, but despite all that, he has been motivating and guiding us every day. Thank you, sir, for this wonderful initiative. SMART has highly distinguished advisory board to guide and nurture this new initiative. Padma Bhushan and Gopal Swamiji, the 15th Chief Election Commissioner of India, and Padma Shri Meenakshi Ji Jain, an Indian political scientist and historian, are on the advisory board of SMART. We are grateful to them for their support and guidance. SMART also has a panel of eminent people as jury members who guide us in selection of topics for media research grants, selection of stories for amplifications, etc. They are from different parts of India and expert in different Bharatiya languages. We thank them all. Our jury members in alphabetical order are Ms. Alu Palji, Mr. D.V. Sridharanji, Mr. Kumar Chelappanji, Mr. M. Nageshwar Raoji, Mr. Mandar Gotkarji, Mr. Mank Jainji, Mr. Nand Kumar Venkat Ramanji, Mr. Puranik Narayan Bhattaji, Dr. Ratan Sadaji, Mr. Sampat Iyengarji, Mr. Sandeepan Devji, Dr. Sirish Kasikarji, Mr. Vijay Chhadaji, and Mr. Vipul Kocharji. Once again, we would like to thank all our jury members for their valuable contributions. SMART has its own model of working in this era of online communication and social media. We have friends of SMART who help us in creating buzz on different issues of importance through their followers and networks. Again, in an alphabetical order, we want to thank them. They are Ms. Janani Sampatji, Mr. Krishna Kumar Muruganji, Ms. Kritika Siva Swamiji, Dr. Monica Varmaji, Dr. Mrityunjay Guha Majumdarji, Ms. Pranita Subhasji, Professor S. Venugopalji, Ms. Sai Priyaji, Ms. Sefali Vedyaji, and Reality Check India. SMART has a small but dynamic management team headed by Shri Jai Kishan Ji Jhawar as the chairman. Shri Raju Venkatramanji of Medall Diagnostics is also in the team as advisor to mentor this new organization and help in strategy development and management. Shri Muthu Ramanji of Swarajya Publications, author Sandeep Singh Ji from Mumbai, and management expert Shri Vishnu Vardhanji are our directors. Two very important members of our management team are Meena Ji and Anand Ji, who are in constant touch with our members on various issues. A big thank you to all management team members. Apart from all these eminent people, the most important roles are being played by our SMART members who are directly engaged with amplifying Nestlist voices in media through their publications, TV channels, YouTube channels, posts, etc. We are going to have awards to honor them very soon.